At the beginning of this video, you saw caricatures of a thief, what we typically associate a thief as looking like. And the difference between that caricature and sometimes real life can be as different as night and day. No one is arguing that a thief doesn't look that way. But the thing about it is, a person can be thieving you and can look like an honest, respectable person, or carry themselves as honest and respectable person. And that type of capitalism will be covered on my channel, The Evergreen Wave, in 2025, because that channel is going to take a long hiatus here soon. And I'm looking to, I've already made content up into July on that channel, from January to July, and still doing some fill-ins. So we'll get into false respectability capitalism in 2025, the Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. What a stereotypical thief looks like, okay? And sometimes how they carry themselves in real life are two different things. You see this article that's about to pop up in a little bit. Two women, one from New York and one from Florida, between 2009 until they got indicted this year in 2024. Between them two racked up $7 million in romance scams here in the United States, ripping off old men looking for companionship. These could have been men whose wives, who they've spent a lot of time with, have passed away. These are men who could have been bachelors that finally wanted to find companionship in their old age. It doesn't really matter. These women manipulated them with sex appeal and with fake and false made up stories to get money out of them. And now they're being indicted. This video isn't gonna be long. Look, I have to keep making this disclaimer because I know some women are gonna come on my page, and it's best that I address this in the classiest manner that I can. If you are graced with beauty and intelligence and a confidence, and nature, I would say God really blessed you with those things, congratulations. Very few women have them all. The height, that natural beauty, they can eat what they want and hardly break out. Most of us are flawed, even if you're young and beautiful when you're young, or maybe you age well and you were a nerd. These women were between the ages of mid-30s going into their 50s. That pivotal age where, if you're not already settled down with a man, or you are a career person that didn't make the best decisions, you're going to resort to desperation. And the thing is, when I look at their mug shots, which have been blurred out, even through the blurred out mug shots, they both aged well. See, the moral of the story is your emotional state, your vulnerability when you've lost somebody, or when you're seeking something, because everybody's like, I haven't found myself, or you're seeking something after someone has died because you lost a beautiful memory. Your emotional state is someone else's hustle. And don't think for a second, when people don't do this to you, that they're not calculated. They don't care that these men's wives may have passed away from a terminal illness. They don't care if the wife died suddenly. They don't care if they have living grown children that love and look out for them. They didn't care about that. They needed the money in their accounts by the fastest means possible. When you are an elderly person, male or female, because I keep hitting on this in my channel, and y'all who've been watching me for a while understand this. It's not easy for you to get the clap back and go back and work certain jobs. Because we can about assume that some of these men were retiring and savings that would have lasted them for the rest of their life were snatched by two people who didn't want to go out and get a legitimate job. It's better to hustle one of the two most vulnerable groups in society. They didn't hustle children, so they went after the elderly. And with the way society is going, don't think these scams won't continue. And see, the thing is, when I read the article, one of these women had even met with one of the men, legitimizing who she was. This is the part that I want everybody to understand. Now, these thieves, back then, they just did it online, manipulated you with photos of them either younger or they ripped somebody else's photo. She was so clever, she for real went and met the guy. She met him halfway because that legitimized her scam. She knew she was going to scam him. I forgot which of the two. And I don't know which is which that lived in New York or Florida. When you're vulnerable in an emotional state and you have children who are still alive, you have friends, you got family, even one sibling, lean on that person in your emotional state. Because it also makes me wonder how many of them were losing some of their salinity when this happened. However many counts these women were charged on, they're looking at 20 years each. So in the prime of their lives, when they could have worked legitimate jobs, it was just easier to hustle men with money at a low scale that they can go ahead and live lavishly off of. And don't think for a second young men don't hustle older women like this, because I found a lot of those stories this year as well. Now you're going to go to prison where your looks are going to fade and they're not going to get you out that prison sentence. What you going to do then? If you have relatives who are elderly or you reasonably believe they're vulnerable, keep in touch with them, not because you're trying to get anything out of them, but because you're trying to protect them. In their emotional state, they don't deserve to be anyone else's hustle and lose everything they worked years for.